Hi guys, so this is going to be my second video, and I want to dedicate this to kind of tell you guys about the migraines and where kind of all of this started. So at the age of 3, my mama told me I got my first migraine, um, and from there it just kind of got worse. In middle school it wasn't that bad. High school is where it was the absolute worst. Um, I played on soccer teams all throughout middle school and it did awesome. And then come high school, I was down and out with migraines all the time. Um, this was before I started seeing a neurologist. I didn't know what my triggers were. I didn't even know what caused the migraines. I didn't have anything under control. So, freshman year of high school, I was on the soccer team, and I remember I would always eat a banana before practice because they always tell you, like, you want your potassium helps with your cramps, it's good for you. Always eat fruits and veggies, they're good for you. Well, here I would eat these bananas and I'd go to practice and I would get really sick. I'd have a really bad migraine, I'd be throwing up, my head would be killing me. I didn't have migraine medication that worked at this point, and it got to a point where the JV coach, because I was on JV, she became really, really mean to me. I think she thought I just didn't want to go to practice, but why would a high schooler just join a soccer? Like, why would you join the soccer team to just not do any of the sport? Like, all of you who know me know that I love sports and I love playing sports and being active, and like, so for me to be on a soccer team throughout high school and then to have the coach be rude to me and like talk down to me and make me seem like I'm doing something wrong, it was really hard. Um, so I actually ended up quitting soccer my sophomore year, because I couldn't keep up with the team. Like, the exercise made my head hurt. I didn't know till, God, I don't even know what year in high school it was. It probably wasn't until my sophomore year that I started seeing it, my, like, a real neurologist, and that's when we kind of started looking at what triggers could be causing these issues for me. Um, so I quit soccer. I tried swimming and diving that year. Even that was really hard. The smell of the chlorine, as much as I love swimming, that really affected me. So, like I said, again, I went to the neurologist and we discussed all these food triggers that I never had any idea about. Just to kind of give you guys a list of some of my basic foods that I have learned over the years I have to stay away from: bananas, red meats, and fruits such as um, like plums. I have to be careful with cheeses. And that's because all of these foods, the more that they go through this aging process, they develop a chemical in them called tyramine, and my body doesn't do well digesting this tyramine, which ends up giving me migraines. So those are foods I have to be careful eating. If I do decide I want a banana, it needs to be on the very, very non-ripe side of it. Meat needs to be extremely fresh, can't be aged, like, can't be sitting in the fridge for a couple days. Some other things I stay away from: MSG. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of MSG. It was very popular in Chinese food back when I was younger. So much anymore, they kind of stopped adding that to Chinese food. However, you can find it in some popular foods such as Doritos. Doritos has it. Really, oh gosh, I miss this so much. Sazon, like the Hispanic packet seasoning, first ingredient is MSG. It's in Spanish. So it's hard for, English speaking people to see, but because I know what to look for, it's monosodium glutamate. So in Spanish, it looks very similar. So we used to make pork chops with that stuff. Oh man, it was so good. What else are some of my favorite things that have MSG? I do have to be careful with Chinese food still. So every time I go out, I always have to ask, do you guys use MSG? Half the time, I swear the people working there have no idea or look at me like I have 6 heads, but I still have to ask. So MSG is something I have to definitely be careful of. Any artificial sweetener, so we're talking aspartame, we're talking acesulfame potassium, sucralose, oh my gosh, anything along those lines. I do okay with plant-based sweeteners, so stevia I'm okay with. I do really well with agave sweetener. That's actually my primary source of sweetener I will use. What else? Anything that is cured, no cured meats, no nitrites or nitrates. That also goes for sulfates and sulfites. So that takes away all my aged meats and all my wines, although there are a few organic, no added sulfite wines out there. For example, I just discovered, um, hmm, something, it's something red. I'll get back to you guys. Remind me, and I can totally put it like in a comment or something. Um, it's really good. It's only $10 a bottle. I get it at like the wine and spirits store around here. It's great. So I can actually drink a glass or two of that, which is almost like a half a bottle, and not get a migraine, which is amazing. So now I can kind of be like this whiny, I don't know what you guys call it, wine enthusiast, I guess. I don't know. It's like one bottle of wine, but it's still exciting. Um, Golly, guys, there's so many more. There's so much more out there, and like now that I'm doing a video, I can't even think of it. But if you go online and just type in like migraine food triggers, the list is like 10 pages long. It's disgusting. Peanuts and your typical, all of your typical food allergies are like things I have to be careful of. So we have peanuts. You have to be careful with like shellfish. You have to be careful with milk products is a weird one. Like I know I'm lactose intolerant, but I feel like if I sometimes I drink milk products, especially just like plain milk, which I love, that will cause a headache. So it's crazy the amount of foods out there you have to be careful with. And it's not always like processed foods either. Like, yes, I stay away from artificial sweeteners, I stay away from artificial, uh, sweeteners, artificial flavors, artificial dyes. I just try to go as whole food as I can. I just try to stay as natural as I can. And that's really all you can do. But you have to, again, be careful because you do get those natural chemicals that occur, like the tyramine. And the more you play around with food, the more I've gotten better at like knowing what I can and cannot eat. And a lot of people do wonder, like, okay, so what happens if you eat this or what happens if you eat that? Truthfully, I could eat, I could have something slip into my food. I could have a little bit of MSG today and I could be fine if I'm eating it with other foods. If I'm eating a whole bag of Doritos on an empty stomach, I will have a migraine and be throwing up and have the rest of my next day or two ruined. Other times, like I said, it could be mixed in with, other foods and I'm okay. It really kind of depends. The best way to kind of explain me and food is kind of like someone who's diabetic. You kind of know if you're having a good day or a bad day. With migraines, it's the same way. You wake up, you know how you're feeling. You kind of have like this sense of how your day is going to start. You don't necessarily know how it's going to end. So I can wake up feeling great and know that, oh, hey, I could probably get away with having like this much of a banana in my breakfast smoothie. And then there are other mornings where you're just like, oh my gosh, I already have such a bad migraine. We're not going to even risk it with a banana this morning. So it's kind of like a game, which is pathetic because this is your life and here you play like a game, but it really is. So there's that with the food. Other triggers, lights. I do really bad with fluorescent lighting. So like you'll never catch me like out shopping for hours because the lights get to me and it makes me nauseous. A lot of people who are epileptic don't do well with fluorescent lighting either because something with their brain you can like see like the way the light almost like flickers, and it really like agitates my eyes and then causes the problems. See, smells. Fun thing with smells. Up until about a year ago when I was diagnosed with the narcolepsy, they put me on Ritalin. Up until I started taking Ritalin, I could not smell anything. All perfumes, flowers, God, it could be like garlic or onions, always gave me migraines. Oh, fun fact, garlic and onions were two things that really always gave me migraines. And now that I've gotten older, whether it's because of this Ritalin thing, I don't know, but now I do really well with garlic and onions. Some days I don't do that well. Like I'll have an aftertaste in my mouth, and then other days I'm fine. So it's weird. And same with smells. Like I have gotten so much better. Like I wear perfume now. Super exciting. Victoria's Secret shout out. Love your guys' Bombshell Paris. So upset that you guys are like discontinuing it. I bought what bottles I could and I'm still already running out. So there's that. Anyway, so yeah, I can smell certain smells now, which is really nice because like being like a 26-year-old female, like before, I hated when guys would walk past with like cologne on. Now it's like, oh hey, you smell really good. But like it's things like that. Like I never got to appreciate, and now I get to appreciate it. And I don't necessarily know if it's the narcolepsy diagnosis and then having the Ritalin. I don't know if it's the Ritalin because that's a stimulant, if it like has affected my hormones in a different way, or I don't know. But something has changed, and maybe it's just my body, my body and my hormones changing. I mean, I'm 26, but shit, change all the time, I guess, with our surroundings and our environment. So I really have no idea. And that's what's so hard with the migraines and with the brain, because you don't know what triggers, you don't know what causes things, and there are so many parts of the brain that we haven't even touched with science. And it's frustrating, but at the same time it teaches you a lot of patience. This whole journey of my life has taught me nothing but patience, and I have to be thankful for that. So there's that. But anyway, so going back to triggers. So we went with foods, we went with smells, light. Oh, barometric pressure. Let's talk about the weather. So I can tell you when it's gonna rain. Can I tell you why? One, because I'm gonna have a migraine. Two, because my body hurts like I'm an 80-year-old woman in a nursing home. So that kind of puts me into talking about the fibromyalgia aspect of my life, and I'm going to save that for another video. But to keep going on with the barometric pressure, it is talked about that migraines are hereditary. My mom does get them. My great grandmother got them really bad. And I have an aunt who is epileptic on my mom's side. And my brother has been very prone to having concussions when he was in high school. I think he had like 4 or 5 in a matter of like 2 or 3 years. So now he even gets migraines, whether or not those were hereditary and just developed later in his life, or if it was a result of his concussions, we don't know. But I still just think it's odd that my family has a history of all these brain problems. Not to mention, anxiety and depression run crazy high on both sides of my family, my mom and my dad's side. So I have always suffered with anxiety and depression, whether that be because I've always been so sick and you have the outside world looking down on you like you're some type of freak, or whether it's you go see all these doctors and you tell them something's wrong. Every time you go to the doctor, something else is wrong. There's something this, there's something that. This medication is not working. That medication is not working. It it's so overwhelming. And some days you just want to give up, and it is the hardest thing, but you can't. Um, there was a point in high school that I was on a medication for the migraines. It was an antidepressant. That's a very common type of drug they use for people who suffer with chronic migraines. And I will never forget the day I went down to my mom and I said, Mom, I said, I want to die. I was at the lowest point in my life. I was so depressed. I felt awful. I was suffering with migraines every day. My soccer team hated me because, like I said, I was never able to make it to practice. I'd miss out on the games. I never got to play. I didn't have friends. Friends didn't know how to handle that. It's hard already in high school because people pick on you. You're trying to figure out who you are. And then to have such a chronic disease weigh you down on your shoulders, like it was hard. And I'll never forget the day I told my mom, I said, Mom, I said, I don't want to live anymore. I don't want to live like this. And immediately she said, that's it. We're taking you off the medication. This is not who you are. You are not acting like my daughter right now. And the truth of the matter was, I wasn't myself. It was these drugs. Now, I'm not going to say I don't suffer from depression because that's something we've known since I was little. But again, it's all in the brain. Like, all of these things have to be connected. And when I go in to talk to you guys about the fibromyalgia and the narcolepsy and just everything that goes with all that, like, you guys are going to be like, wow, maybe this girl's onto something. Maybe she's a nut. I don't know. What I'm hoping to do with my videos is share with the world what I've gone through and what I'm currently going through. And I want other people out there who are like me to know that they're not alone, to know that we are not crazy, and to know that there is so much to the brain that just hasn't been discovered yet, that we need to just stand together. We need to open up and express to the world how we're living, what we're doing, what we feel, what we think, because the best thing about science is that there's really no wrong or right to figuring something out. You just kind of lay out everything on the table and you just start in one direction. Like, who can tell you you're right or wrong? No one can tell you until you can prove to them facts. And that's what's so great with science, is like when you start, you can literally start with nothing and make it into something. And that's what I love. And that's kind of what I've done all my life. You know, I take the migraines and I build off of those, and doing little research here and there just to see what helps make you feel better. And then you're like, wow, this is connected. That's connected. Maybe this is all connected. Maybe really what's going on is I have this one autoimmune. Maybe it's not even autoimmune. Maybe it's just a part of my brain that didn't develop right, or maybe it's outside environment that takes, has a big role. And then with the migraines, I take, I told you about the depression. I was on daily medications, which are preventative medications. They put you on these to try to help the migraine subside. And my God, I think all they've ever done will make things worse. The side effects were awful. You're tired, lethargic, you don't feel good. You're you're depressed, even more depressed than what you were when you started taking the medications. And it's just, it's so much. There's just so much to it. And on top of like preventive medications, then you have to worry about the medications that you take as you get migraines. And I finally found a drug that works for me. It's Trexmet, it's a sumatriptan and naproxen pill all in one. Little big, well, little, it's a big blue pill. I always call it my Viagra. um, it's my magic drug. It's the only thing that helps. When I started, 3 years old, mom would give me, baby aspirin, and then you build up to Motrin and Tylenol and Excedrin, and then you go on to your, next class. I've tried the Maxalt, I've tried the sumatriptan alone, nothing would work. Then you get into the sumatriptan with the naproxen, and that's finally what I found that helps with me. As you guys know, I also was just approved with my medical marijuana card. There are certain strains of marijuana that I found to help get rid of the migraines. I've had some promising results with sativa strains, and stay tuned because I will have videos out on that as well. So that's going to be a whole video in itself as I learned about this whole medical marijuana project, I guess we could call it. So I might have my brother do some videos with me on those because he knows everything about that. So anyway, back to the medications. Love the Trexmet, but when you take it, literally it is like, how do I explain this? Takes away the migraine medication, or I'm sorry, takes away the migraine pain, but then gives you body pain. Like, makes you feel like you got hit by a bus kind of body pain. And if you don't eat with it, it's like, okay, I'm going to throw up this pill that I just took, and it's not going to do me any good because it upsets your stomach so bad. You get so bloated from it some days. I mean, there are times I take this pill, I look like I'm about to pop out a baby. It's so attractive. It's also so comforting. Let me tell you how nice it feels to walk around with a watermelon-sized belly. It's not fun, especially when you're not expecting a little one to come out of it. Like, no thank you. So it's just, some days I wonder, like, is it really worth taking the Trexmet? And then it's like, wait a second, yeah, because without taking this medication, I have this migraine where I can't function at all. So it's, do I not function at all and just sleep away my life? Which half the time you can't sleep because the pain is so bad. I've gotten to a point where I can't sleep away a migraine anymore. I have to take the medication. When I was younger, there were times where I could do that, and that's not an option any longer. With the Trexamet, it also makes you extremely tired. Um, Being narcoleptic, I'm only supposed to take 30-minute naps. When I take a Trexamet, you can't not sleep less than 2 hours when you do nap with it. It's just, it knocks you out. It also really affects your thinking and your motor skills. It kind of gives you like this awful high, but it's like a depression high. Um, you feel kind of loopy on it. You can't focus for anything. And golly, it's awful. And then there's a part of my brain where it's like, I wonder, because I've been taking this drug for so many years, all this body pain I have, is it really fibromyalgia? Did it start in my brain? Is it because of this Trexamet? That's something I will get into when I do the video for the fibromyalgia. So stay tuned for that one, because that's an interesting theory of mine. Um, Not that I can complain, because I need this medication literally to live my life. Because one thing I haven't told you guys yet, the average migraine that I would get in high school was every other day, 15 migraines a month. So, just so you all are aware, I had to have special doctor papers for school. I could have to go down and take a nap when I took my medication, just like I explained to you. I missed a lot of class in high school. My senior year, I missed over 60 days of school. Yeah, that's a lot. Um, like when you add all the time up, it was roughly 60 days. Luckily, I didn't get in trouble because it was medical, but that's a lot of school to miss, and to keep your grades high and push through it wasn't easy. But I did it, and then I went to college, and it was not easy. It was not easy at all. I chose to do part time at a community college because I was too afraid that if I'd go full time, it would be too much to take on, and I wouldn't be able to handle it. Um, and that kind of screwed me in the end, because now I'm really in debt with college loans because I did 2 years at community college part time. Then I tried to save more money by going to Penn State, but doing the Penn State Harrisburg campus. I did that 2 years part time, trying not to have to go up to the main campus. That was expensive because part time credits are crazy expensive. And I did 2 years at main campus. Um, Thankfully, over the years, I have figured out all my triggers. Um, I've kind of been able to manipulate myself with my diet and exercise. A big thing that I have to really, really be careful with are my hormones. That's a really big topic that is controversial, I guess, with migraines. Um, a lot of people say that when they are put on birth control, they get migraines. For me, it was the complete opposite effect. My senior year of high school is when I first started birth control. I was on the depot shot. That was awful. Um, wasn't the right amount of hormones, didn't really help that much. And then as I continuously like trying different birth control methods, I finally discovered that low dose pill is the best route. Um, so that's currently what I'm on. I've been on that for a couple years now. The big thing with my birth control pill is I don't get migraines on this pill. If I stop taking it, even to do like my week of breakthrough bleeding, migraine every single day. So, believe it or not, I haven't had an actual period in probably 2 or 3 years now. A lot of people think like, oh my God, how can you do that? That's bad for you. It's really not. You can do the research. You don't have to have a period. Luckily, because if I did, I would be out of commission a full week every month of my life. That's a lot. That's 12 weeks just in 1 year that I'm literally sleeping and can't do anything. So I, I'm very, very grateful to finally figure out that hormones do play such a huge part. Um, it's hard sometimes. Um, I feel like my body does fight. Like my body wants to have that period. I, I'm starting to learn that, I go through different phases where I still kind of get a little bit of a migraine. My hormones shouldn't be changing because I do take this pill on a daily. I never skip it, never miss a dose. Um, and that's because I'm so petrified of getting a migraine. And it's it's one of those things where my body knows, because it's been almost every month now. There's a couple days where I get these migraines, and I'm like, what the hell? And I have a period tracker on my phone, and needless to say, it's all about that same time where, even though I don't get a period, my body still knows, and something's going on with my hormones, because I'm still getting these migraines same about the same time every month. So that's also something new I've discovered. I actually go see the gynecologist beginning of next month, so that's something I'm going to talk to him about. It's inevitable. There's just things, there's triggers that I cannot control. Weather, which is barometric pressure, something I can't control. Along with the barometric pressure, sunshine. Always wear sunglasses, especially, see these eyeballs? They're light. They do not like the sun. So sunglasses all day or a day. um, but yeah, so as you guys can see, there is a lot to this. Looks like I put this all in about 30 minutes. I could honestly go on for another hour and a half about it. There's so much more. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask. Shoot me a video, shoot me a message, a comment. I'll answer all your questions. Not alone. There are millions of us migraine sufferers out there. There are different kinds of migraines. I do not get the aura with mine. I don't lose vision. I don't get numb. I just get nauseous. I get mean. I get anxious. When I have a migraine, I am not Sammy Sweetheart. Let me tell you something. I am a total jerk. You get very irritable. And fun fact, a lot of people don't realize this or know this, but after you have a migraine, you can actually have what's called like a migraine hangover, because it takes so much out of your body that your body has to, like, it needs to recuperate. So you are fatigued, you're irritable, grouchy, you're sore. It's amazing the way you feel after you suffer from a migraine attack. And I didn't realize this until only a couple years ago, and I was like, wow, I feel crappy today. Oh, that's right, I took migraine medication yesterday. I had a really bad migraine. Wow. So it's not just like a migraine affects you the day of the attack, it affects you that next day. Um, and even going along with that, with your food triggers, you have to be careful with them as well, because you can have a food trigger today and not have it digest in your system for another 12 hours and not have it hit you till then. Or it could be one of those things where, okay, I have nothing in my system. I'm going to eat some Doritos. It'll hit you right there. It's really not something you can just, it just takes time. It takes time. It has taken me since the age of 3 to figure out everything I figured out. And I'm the 3rd generation in my family to suffer with these bad boys. So that, I guess, pretty much sums it up with the migraines. Again, if you guys have any questions, comments, please throw them in there. I want to hear from you. I want your feedback. I want to hear questions. I want to answer your questions. And I want to make sure that you guys understand, because it's hard to understand people with migraines. And you have to also know that migraines are not headaches. It depends on where it's at in your head, where it starts, what the pain scale is. Are you throwing up? Can you see? Are you losing vision? Like, it just, there's so many factors. But I do suffer from chronic migraines without the aura. So that's my story. And stay tuned, because there will be videos for the fibromyalgia. We'll throw the TMJ in there. I also want to talk to you guys about my lichen sclerosis, or lichen planus. That's still in the works of being fully diagnosed, so that may be pushed back a little bit. But I do want to just kind of enlighten you with that. And then I do want to talk to you guys about the narcolepsy. I've also just got testing done for Lyme disease and for co-infections. Those all came back clean from the infectious disease doctor. I do have an aunt and uncle who are crazy cool about the Lyme disease, and they go so hard with it, because they both suffer from both, not just Lyme, but 2 of the co-infections that go with it, and it has changed their lives completely. So I might see if one of those 2 would be interested in doing a YouTube video with me as well, to enlighten the world, because the Lyme community, that is a whole type of community that needs to be heard. Lyme is not a joke. And even though my test came back negative, I still think I'm going to push to have more testing done. because there's just too many what ifs, and I don't like what ifs. I like definite answers, especially when it comes to your health. And Lyme can be seriously debilitating to the point where it can put you in your grave. So stay tuned for those as well. I think good things are going to come from this. I hope all of you enjoyed. Sorry it was 30 minutes, but there's a lot to it. As you can see, this was just with the migraines. Sorry if I was kind of scatterbrained. I'm doing all this off a whim. I'm also not editing my videos because I don't have time or money for that. So we're going to start slow. Anyway, share with your family and friends. Again, likes, comments, concerns, anything, throw them at me. Talk about medications. I love talking about medications. Will I remember everything I've been on? No, because the memory is shot. And I don't know if that's the narcolepsy, the migraines, the medications, or just because, I'm a blonde. All right, guys, have a good night, and I'll see you later.